and welcome to the Songwriters Workshop at Access 23 TV. Tonight's topic is going to be the creation of songs and how songs arrive like little babies in the night. But how do you form a song? Where does a song come from? What creates the song? What do you think, Celeste?
Well, I'm just thinking about the last song I wrote, and it was for, I wrote it for a reason. It was for Good Friday, and so I had a specific goal in mind, but as with many of my songs that I write, sometimes I just get like this anxiety, like, it's so, sometimes I really don't like writing the song. I have a need to do it, but at the same time, I get like this, like, I'm grasping, and then all of a sudden something will happen. I write a lot of songs about spiritual things, and sometimes I'll even look in the Bible, and and then all of a sudden it'll just start to take shape. So a lot of times I'll write because there's a specific thing I want to write about, or it's like we were talking about in the last show. You have little snippets of thoughts, and then they all come together, but they suddenly culminate in this anxious feeling of mine, and then it just comes out. Thank God.
I've actually woken up and written an entire song from a dream.
Wow.
I've had dreams of the entire song fully formed, and I keep a notepad next to my bed, and I find that I tend to write best in the mornings when my mind is free, or during that twilight zone type time when you're between dreaming and awake. All of a sudden I hear the entire music like a symphony in my head, and then the words are a little bit harder for me. It comes more natural for me. I might get a verse and a chorus, or a verse and a middle eight, but I might have the entire musical songs fleshed out, beginning through the end, with verse, chorus, middle eight, everything. And then, I have to work to get those words in place. And sometimes I get lazy and I, just never finish a song. I have tons of unfinished songs. But I find that, it might be a movie phrase, it might be a subconscious title if I start with a title, or just a word, or I overhear somebody speaking, and that becomes the song. Or I might hear another song, like that last song I played, and play a song like it, kind of, sort of, almost mushed into my brain and then spit out again, and or something on the news might strike my attention, and it might influence my soul, and then that gives birth to a song. How about you guys? Where did songs come from? Let's turn it over to our songwriters here.
All right. Hello? Okay. Well, songwriting to me is just very therapeutic. Is that good? All right, yeah, it's just very therapeutic. Like, I just write a lot of personal stuff that's personal to me, so it, like, helps me let it out. And, like, I have, like, a lot of music that doesn't have lyrics. I have a lot of lyrics that doesn't have music, just because, like, they're not really matched up together. So, like, I don't know. And, like, I write a lot in my head at work. Like, I'll think of melodies in my head, and then I'll just, like, try to remember lyrics to them and write them down or something.
At the risk of taking myself seriously, I feel the same way. Like, I just, I need to write the songs to make sense of all the jumble of, emotions that might be going on in my mind. And my songs comfort me. I mean, even if no one else will ever listen to them, I listen to them and I love them, and like, they're like my children, So it is like therapy for me too.
Have you ever written a great song and you didn't write it down, and you think, I'm going to remember that, it's fantastic? Yeah. My suggestion is notepad next to the bed or something. Always write it down. Or I have a little tape recorder that I always use. That's fantastic. And now I'm using my iPhone. I'm in my car. I'm fumbling around for my iPhone. I crash into something. No, but really, always write it down. Always remember it, because you come back to it later. And you'll have these little notes and snippets, and you put it together. Pete?
I found that I don't do much writing anymore, and I think that's because from my experience, to be a songwriter, a prolific songwriter, takes a little bit of discipline, and I'm extremely undisciplined. But I found in my experience that for me personally, songwriting is very universally organic, in the sense that when the song wants to come out of me, it will, and I kind of just act as a conduit for it.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a conduit for it, and that it's coming from a different place.
Yeah,
a higher power, perhaps.
I tend not to even really think about it until it's pretty fully formed, and then I nitpick it to death. That's why, like, when I do write, even though it'll come out in 10 minutes, I'll take 2 weeks to polish it before I ever play it for anybody. It's just,
See, I play it for everybody anyway.
Yeah. As opposed to me, I'll post something on Facebook with like my bad piano playing and my cat like screeching in the background, like, because I'm compelled to share. I was like, I want to share.
If you had your cat play keyboard, you'd get more hits.
Yeah, right.
Roger?
What I've done mostly, playing around the guitar, just like between playing cover songs, I'll stop playing like melodies, and I'll come up with a melody, and then from that I come up with chords, and then the lyrics kind of come after that. Based on that is what I've been finding. My problems is coming up with the whole thing with the verse, the chorus. That's where I'm like really mind blocked.
Well, one of the things that we hope to achieve in the Songwriters Workshop is getting everybody to collaborate with one another. The last session we had some really good collaboration. Celeste and I have been doing some collaboration. Pete and I have been doing some collaboration. So, maybe we can work together and build each other's strengths a little. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the purposes of this, to gather and to collaborate. Anybody else has comments?
That's one idea I had. I'm trying to get people together online to, as a group, write a song. Like one person do a verse, hand it off to the next person, do another verse, and hand it off to the next person. Have it come around, finish song.
That could be an interesting project for us.
Well, get people here, but get some volunteers.
Why don't we do, one of the things that we did last songwriting workshop was we each said a word, and then we each came back with an assignment. We gave it an assignment. We're going to do that at the end of this session, if we have the time, if somebody tells me when it's going to end.
When the lights go out.
We're going to do that. Last time we said three words, and then we all came back with songs based on that idea. So we're going to
that way you get people's different points of view.
Yes,
yeah.
And it was very interesting how each songwriter had a different take on those project words.
Yeah, because if you look at all the songs that are out there, I mean, everything in life is a song. You just have to see it that way.
That's a song.
There you go. So you see it one way, I see it a different way, but it's a song to somebody.
It's true. A little closer. Terry?
Okay.
What was the question again? No, I'm just kidding.
Paul's life is...
I get inspired by my personal life. I get inspired by driving in my car. Is a big place for my mind. I think when I'm driving, my mind's freed up, which is kind of ironic because I'm supposed to be paying attention. And I do what you do. I don't fumble for my phone because it's right there, and I record snippets, like you said. Sometimes I get titles. Sometimes I just write a poem, and I don't think of it as a poem, but it ends up being a story, a poem. And then, like I said, when I got in the room with the guys and they play music, I'm always inspired. And like you said, if you do not catch that moment, it goes bye-bye.
It's gone.
And it doesn't always come back in the same way.
It's like it floats in the air. It's like you got to grab it and you have to kind of bottle it. It's little bottled of lightnings, little lightning bugs or something.
And like, Pete, is that your name?
Pete.
What he said is, too, sometimes I say to myself, I don't know how I did that. But then I go, yeah, I do know how I did that. Because if you're a creative person, you look at life that way, just a little bit askew. It's out of the box. It's not a normal point of view. So if you can capture those moments or you have a concept and you go, oh, that's a good, I should write about that. Even if you say somebody could identify with it, because you want somebody to identify with it, hopefully, well, if you want to sell one, but so everything that's been said is part of how I write my songs.
Well, one thing that's interesting about songwriting, if you think about, you know, the great people in the world, you know, the people who has influenced millions, you know, they're either a political figure like a Gandhi, or you know, a George Bush. No, just kidding. But you know, a political figure or a songwriter, John Lennon. You know, the songwriters have become political figures. Songwriters have influenced millions. Songwriters have changed the world. And you know, if you think about it, they're the ones who are doing things for the positive. They're doing fundraisers. They're doing, you know, music affects everybody universally. It's the whole world, and the songwriters have become the new politicians, so to speak.
Yeah, songwriters are the soul of society.
Oh, nice. Anybody else want to add any comments? Okay, we're gonna get started. Come on up. We got another songwriter. Robin again. You set?
Any mic?
The one that works. There you go.
Okay. This first song I wrote is called Lindo. It's about my grandfather, who basically raised me from when I was born until I was like 8 years old. So I wrote this about him. Watching you eat your meal so that you would not choke. This was the last time we spoke. Dimming the lights down in your room to match the hall. Last time I'd see you at all. Summers are gone and there to stay when you're not around. Who can I run to now? The years melt in front of my eyes, a masquerade. Nights don't turn to days, they just fade. There was a moment when your spirit passed through me. I felt all you felt, saw all you've seen. And now I will never behold all thoughts untrue, knowing I was once filled with you. Summers are gone and there to stay when you're not around. Who can I walked in front of my eyes, a masquerade. Nights don't turn to days, they just fade. It all just fades away. How can I be the one alive and still feel less than you? Maybe I am in my mind, you still survive. I'll wait for your return. For you to come and take me home. Thank you.
I think that was really beautiful, and I love how you. Well, first of all, your playing is beautiful, and I love how you put it all out there, you know, lyrically and your emotion, and it just felt really cinematic to me. Like that part where the instrumental part, it almost felt like your grandfather's spirit. Like that's when he like departed away, and then you know, because you said his spirit went through you, you know, when he but then when you got to that instrumental part, I got the feeling like that's when he went, you know, up, and but then when you sang again, you know, because now you're left without him, you know, and that's kind of what I got, but it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
I really, really liked it.
I was extremely impressed.
Thank you.
Totally unexpected, and pleasantly unexpected. Your guitar playing is great. I like that, and lyrically, it was a poem. It was a poem. It did feel kind of like two separate songs, kind of two separate. Like I thought you ended one, and then like, is he playing a separate song or something? But it was, as she said, orchestral. You know, it tied together the thoughts, but it was definitely two separate thoughts and kind of different
Yeah,
that way.
at some point in my life, like, I got tired of the whole verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus thing. So I was like, I spent some time like trying to do some different stuff.
Well, you did different stuff, that's for sure. But, it was almost, like you had a prelude and fugue,
Yeah.
Which is, going back to classical times where they had an introductory and then another thought, and then it rounded it out.
Flute would sound really good in that interlude.
Flute.
Flute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just tie it back in with the beginning, the way you ended it, so it just makes it a whole thing. Because I thought too that it was two songs in one.
Yeah.
Not that it's a
Well,
bad thing.
No, a lot of people
And
do.
now I understand your inspiration for that. You want to break away from the typical song structure, which is interesting in itself, right there. So everything that Celeste said, I would echo. Just the lyrics and the emotion and the excellent guitar playing. But probably this is more not so much songwriting, but well, maybe it is. I don't know when you're talking about instruments. But just Ty, I would love to. I wanted to see you get back to that picking thing that you were doing. That was so cool.
Oh, in the beginning?
Yeah.
Kind of left it and then.
And you never got back to it. And I'm like, where is that? And it would tie it in together.
It was a beautiful song. It was a very emotional song. But I just to reiterate what they said, I mean, it just felt like two. And if you could just, even musically, just go back to
Bring
that
it back to the
fingerprint part,
beginning.
just to end it out and to end the song, that's all. But it was beautiful, man. It sounded great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was not the time the second part to the first part. It just kind of.
Yeah, I had a hard time doing
You
that.
left it and you left us.
Yeah.
I've been told I do things like that too, where the song goes off somewhere else. But I didn't really feel that, because like for me it was cinematic. Like it was like a visual. It was cinematic for me. So I felt that instrumental part, like I said, was a departure, and it was. And then you came back because you were alone. You were alone without him. So I didn't get that. But I'm not the best musician. So and I don't think structurally. So that's probably why I didn't feel that.
Anyone else?
My only comment was that the first movement, the walking bass, part, that guitar part was absolutely hypnotic, and
Thank you.
from a listener's point of view, at one point I almost found myself getting so deep into that I almost missed your words.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's something you had thought of, but possibly just for a couple of measures here and there throughout that section, just breaking that up with something, because it is
Just to let the lyrics stand out more.
Yeah, just to because your lyrical melody is very monotonic. It doesn't do a lot of up and down movement.
Yeah.
Because of all the guitar movement, and then maybe if just for a small section, flip that a little bit so that the vocal melody does the movement, and the guitar is less, and then come that
And turn it around
play
again.
off of it, because that, as I say, that first the only way I can describe it as that song has three movements, and that
Yeah.
first movement, that walking bass part, it's just completely hypnotic. Completely hypnotic.
Thank you.
Could you go back to the lyrics of the first part? Just say some of those, because they would. I got a lot of imagery from them, but it's
So-
first hearing I didn't get all of them.
So, watching you eat your meal so you would not choke. This was the last time we spoke. Dimming the lights down in your room to match the hall. The last time I'd see you at all. And then, summers are gone and they're to stay when you're not around. Who can I run to now? The years melt in front of my eyes like a masquerade. Nights don't turn to days, they just fade.
It was hypnotic. You will.
Yeah. I feel like you should I I know that your guitar is your strong part, and that's why you focus on that. But I think your lyrics are so beautiful that you just need to bring that out a little more too, and just enunciate them a little more so that people can appreciate them and hear them, and maybe bring your vocals up a little.
Yeah, you have a good voice.
Yeah, he's not very
Project a little.
confident in that.
Yeah, this is my first time in front of a camera, so I'm like nervous.
Yeah, a little more emotion. Yeah, in the words to emphasize them.
All right.
That's more of a performance thing, that just having the dynamically performing it dynamic.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
move the mic down because it's blocking your face.
Oh, say
How about it?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the microphone's on.
Now they can see you.
That might also help the way
Yeah,
you're projecting.
Yeah, turn it up a little. So.
Turn up the mic.
Yeah, that's fine. So you're singing right into it.
All right.
Any other comments? Or do another one.
All right.
We're ready for another.
Yeah.
All right. This next song is called Memories. I wrote it about my daughter. So. Staring at the sky, watching birds make their way home. And you too can be a bird, travel anywhere you wish to go. All in all, we've had some very good days. On the swing set with your arms stretched, basking in your summer rays. But many years will pass, memories are sure to fade. Instead you will insist to fight me every step along the way. And when you do, I will remind you of all that we've been through, with hopes you'll remember too. The morning walks to your school right down the street. The bone-breaking sounds of the crushing leaves beneath your feet. Snow piled high are your angels on the ground, clinging to my back, and your imprints nowhere to be found. But you were just a child then, so far from where you are now, successful and strong, standing in your wedding gown. And when I see, it will remind that we've been through, and hopes you'll remember too. Thank you.
That one was beautiful, but it didn't. There's something. It was like more. It didn't have that same like. Structure. It had different structure. It kind of blended into itself. And because I couldn't understand a lot of the lyrics, I couldn't like latch onto it the way
Right.
the other one. It was still beautiful though, and your playing is just awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you kind of have a Paul Simon kind of playing style. That very nice fingerpicking style.
Thank you.
Very nice. I did grasp the lyrics. I kind of like the way that you ended it with, her wedding dress, and that she'll remember these times that you're having, in the playground
Yeah.
today. That kind of summed it up. It kind of put a nice bow on it. And, you brought us through a story of you and your daughter, and in a very tender, touching way. It was nice lyrics, good guitar work, very tender, very nice.
Thank you.
My comment is mostly performance, because I agree with what Elliot just said.
Mhm.
It was a very captivating song. It was very moving, and of course, love to watch you play. I think vocally, it'd be more my recommendation would be to just try and make it a little bit more dynamic vocally. The crescendo at some places, pull it back, and just find the places to make it dynamic with your vocal performance.
Okay.
It was very nice. You accomplished your not doing verse chorus, although instrumentally you did A-B, and you had repetitive parts.
That one was verse chorus.
You didn't repeat. There wasn't a set chorus with repetitive words, which most listeners think that's how you define a chorus is the same words being repeated.
Yeah.
So it was nice that you accomplished the non-traditional feel in a traditional contemporary music format, which was kind of cool. And lyrically, great imagery, a good flow to the story, and obviously very emotionally driven. So very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting back to, by not having the verse chorus, the traditional verse chorus, from a listener's point of view, we may not want, we're okay with that, but there's got to be some sort of peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
There was no dynamic peaks and valleys to capture and keep the listener's attention. And because there's no traditional verses and choruses, you also don't capture the listener's attention that way. So I think you're treading on like a tightrope.
Yeah.
And I think in order to get the listeners and keep their listeners' attention in that format that you're doing, you might want to have a lot more dynamics in your vocal range.
Okay.
Okay, next victim. Great job.